Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have ever solved a chess puzzle in your life? Chess puzzles, or tactics as you know them, are basically training situations where you develop your muscle memory on the chessboard to then successfully implement something during a real game. It might be something as easy as checkmate in one move, or a fork, or something along those lines. Right? And those things prepare you for the real world of chess. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you just clicked on this video because the thumbnail was interesting or the title was interesting, hi, welcome to the world of chess. In today's video, I am going to give you 4 chess puzzles that are simply spectacular. They won prizes, and they are not from legitimate games. They are mind-bending chess exercises known as chess compositions. Yes, just like musical compositions, there is something called chess compositions where people literally invent chess puzzles with solutions as long as 25 moves, and they're supposed to bend your brain, and they're supposed to make you think in creative ways. 3 of today's exercises are positions where only legal moves apply. 1 of them makes you put a piece onto the board to solve it. So, super interesting stuff. Feel free to pause at any moment. Bear with me. It's not going to be too long of a video because these are extremely difficult. And so I'm going to try to walk you through them as best as I can. This very first one I saw on Nigel Short's Twitter, actually. This is checkmate in 25 moves for white. Now, that might sound insane because you don't even know how to solve mate in 1. How are you going to do it 25 times more than that? Well, it's actually easier than it looks. And what I would advise you to look at here is the most forcing moves. So what does that mean? A forcing move in chess is when you play a move and you know your opponent's response because you're forcing it out of them. For example, if white plays the move king a2 here, that's not a forcing move. Black has now 30 legal moves probably. But a very forcing move is rook g8. After rook g8, black has only 1 legal response, so it's significantly simpler to calculate the position. Now from this position, I will let you take it away. I'm going to be taking a lot of sips of coffee today as I let you pause and think, and then I'm going to walk you through the answer. So, under normal circumstances, we would love to do something like this. The problem is that black is going to butcher us to death very quickly if we delay at all. So your next move needs to be another rook sacrifice. You have now sacrificed 2 rooks, and you are doing this to attract the king to the h-file from where the queen would like to have a word with the king. Now, actually, either of these checks is fine, which is a rare thing in chess compositions because you want to go to h7. I mean, generally chess compositions just have one answer, but in this case, it sort of doesn't really matter. And then the king goes here, and now the queen chases. So we've now made 4 moves. This is still the only legal move that we are following. Queen h8, king e7, and now we take the pawn. We've now made 6 moves, right? Each side has made 6 moves. You see where this is going? I want you to maybe pause right here now that I've gotten you to this position. You're going to realize that there's something very funny here. If you keep giving checks where the enemy king only has 1 legal move, you are going to chase the king all the way to the other side of the board. And then you're going to have to chase the king all the way back around. And the composer of this position managed to put the exact right pieces on the exact right squares to not defend the king sufficiently, but also disallow him from escaping. So as this position goes on and the king keeps getting chased, he's actually blocked in by his own pieces. Now, a very important moment here. Do we force the king further in this way? No, because then we would lose our ability to attack it. Now the king can go that way, but if the king goes this way, he actually dies much faster than anticipated. So that doesn't work. So the king needs to start running all the way back. And we are in a perfect position to force the king exactly back to that edge of the board. So look at this. Check, check. This is unbelievable. And if the king goes here, every single one of these studies or compositions has a little joker card. The joker card is that there is an escape for the king. As we just saw, these 2 escapes, but they lose very quickly. So the king is inclined to survive, right? Now look at this. If you keep chasing with the queen, you're just going to go ring around the rosy, right? Like, that's it. You can't win anymore, right? But you can. That's actually the most incredible thing. You can win because you get your pawn involved. Every bit of resources is used. And now the journey begins again, but the g5 square is covered. You'll notice that when this just happened, the king escaped out to g5, but that's not going to happen anymore. and we continue the chase. We do the exact same thing, the only difference being the g5 square is occupied by our h-pawn, and when the chase is over, it takes 25 moves, but we have won via checkmate. Oh my goodness. So I want to start with these epic ones, you know, maiden 25. It's like the perfect position. It's absolutely the perfect position. And, you can argue certain things shouldn't exist, like you can, you know, remove certain things, but what a start, okay? Down 12 points of material, winning the game. The next three are award-winning exercises. So this one is by a gentleman named Leopold Adamovich Mitrofanov. This individual in, I believe it was 1967, won like basically every award possible for this study. So this is not checkmate in X. This is white to play and win. And if you look at the position, well, actually, I believe material is equal. I believe black has 9, 10, and we have 5 pawns and a rook, which is 10. However, black is about to make a queen. So a couple of things are going on in this position. Black is going to make a queen, and we're going to lose. We are also going to make a queen, but we're too slow. So for example, here, there's a very natural kind of continuation, which is check and push and try to make a queen, right? So for instance, if you calculate here, let's say king to a8, and then you say, okay, g7, and I'm making a queen. Well, what happens there is black makes a queen, you make a queen, but then black blocks. And you can give a check, but then there's no more checks. And they say, oh, it's made on the next move. Yeah, but I'm getting to your king first. So I'm not gonna let you win. But this doesn't lose for white. But that doesn't win for white, and white needs to win the game. So if that doesn't work, well, then what is the answer? Well, oftentimes in these studies, there is just sheer brilliance, right? There is kind of act 1 of the brilliance, act 2 of the brilliance, act 3, and sometimes there's a joker card all the way at the end. So the first move actually is correct. We do need to push the black king to the back rank. That is just an effortless improving move. The king is now stuck on that back rank, so we are always kind of threatening to promote here, but we know that this doesn't work because the pawn queens. Well, if you know that the pawn queens, is there any way to stop it? First of all, is there any way to not do anything and try to sneak into the back rank? No. Because if you go here, you get taken. If you go here, you get taken. Checking doesn't do anything. The king will just come here. We are never, ever going to queen, and our king cannot really come help. So what the heck? I mean, we can't go here, we can't go here. That's exactly why they put the knight on the g2 square. Or is it? In this position, white can play the move rookie. What? But that doesn't do anything. Oh, but it does. Because now when the queen comes in, e1 is blocked and a1 is blocked by the knight. So the queen has lost the 2 key checking squares. So now we go g7. But what does that make any difference? Both sides queen. We've been here before. We have no attack. Oh, but we do. Oh, but we do. We have this. Because if you remember the difference, right? If you remember before we sacked the rook, and I went through that sequence, that queen was getting to our king. But doing it the right way, now this queen doesn't have a check. That is protected. This is blocked. The only way to prevent this or this, simply winning on the spot, is to give us a check right now. Which is to go knight c6. Uh-oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. If we move our king, we're going to lose this pawn. We lose that pawn, we have no attack anymore. But if we take the knight, we get checked. Right? That's like the whole point of the exercise. But it's not. But it is, but it's not. You know why? Pawn takes check. White to play and win. This you can solve. I told you, it's impossible. But this you can solve. White to play and win. You're in check. If you run out of check, well, you can't run out of check this way, but this, I will keep checking you. I mean, I will just find your king and you will not survive. It'll be a draw probably because black is under too much danger. Now, you would love to go king a6 and b7 mate, but then I would come here, right? So how about this move? Queen to g... Oh my goodness. Sacrificing the entire queen with check to go here, and now there is no way to prevent b7 mate. The only thing that black can do is play this. And if we take, we don't win. If we push, ooh, my mouse is spazzing. If we push, we don't win, which is why we play c7. And black cannot stop mate or the queen. So if black were to play the move queen to d5 in this position, I would make a queen, and then I would push, and the black king perishes in the corner while this knight stands here. But there is something even more savage to this position. If black sacrifices the queen and protects, the king has to choose which of the two pawns to allow to queen. The king cannot choose. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I'm allergic to pawn promotions. And the game is over and we win. I mean, this is just, I mean, queen g5 is, it's like, I mean, when I saw this, I was like, come on. Oh, Leopold Adamovich, what is this? King a6 and black loses the game. Just spectacular. It doesn't matter. Queen b5, none of this matters. It doesn't matter. You can try to get back. Like, I'm still going to go c7 and the same thing. So, just unbelievable. Unbelievable position with so many fascinating layers, such as sacrificing your own rook to block the queen when it promotes with its own horse. Amazing stuff. Now, this is a study by Guy van Breukelen, and this might be the most savage chess composition ever, like of all time. This one you can try to pause and solve yourself. White is trying to win the game via checkmate. I'm going to tell you right now, grandmasters couldn't solve this, and engines could not solve this. Modern engines can solve this probably in a couple of minutes, which is saying a lot because they're just uber powerful. This position is just nothing short of spectacular, and if you thought the last position was difficult, then this one is, I don't even know what to say. So, look, a couple of things are at play. First of all, random noob with black is up 5 points of material. We are threatening to queen, but not really, because knight f7. So if you just queen here, we're going to lose the queen, and we probably will not win this game. But we still have to be a little bit, you know, we still might be able to. Black does have to be a bit careful with the weak king. But I'm going to take you through this one, and I'll try to pause. So again, we are looking for the most forcing move possible, right? And that move is knight f6. Why? Because if the king goes to the back rank, we queen with check, which is not what they want. If king to g6, then we give this check, and now we are covering against the fork. So we can actually just make a queen. There is no fork anymore. So we know that the move is king g7, okay? So we play knight f6, and now knight h5, and once again, the same thing applies. If king to h7, there is that check. So the only move is this. But now what? Our knight is hanging, and Stockfish in this position doesn't even see the answer. Like, if I turned on the eval bar, it says -5. I don't have it on. I've made the board bigger so that, you know, we don't need eval bar when solving these studies. That kind of kills the magic. So, in this position, white forces the king to take the knight. White goes here. What? But I don't, what? But the king's gonna run away. But now is act 2 of brilliance. We queen. What? But I just, what? But what about this? Yes, I know. We are going to use the necessity of that to force them to take. They have to take. If they let the queen survive, we will win. Now we play king f5. Oh, do you see where this is going? The black king, in taking our knight and escaping checks, and the other black knight, in taking our queen, left the king wide open to a checkmate. We are threatening bishop d1 mate. But that is very easily stopped by the move e2. That's it. The game has to end now. Where's the mate? Now, I would like you to try to solve from this position, if you want. So from this position, try to solve white to play, continuing the theme of chasing a checkmate. If you continue to make mate threats, you will solve this position. The first thing, bishop e4. Now, bishop f3 is mate, but what about e? Oh my god, knight! Knight stops this. But now you can get a mate on one of these two squares potentially. Not f7, but I'm just saying if that knight moves. You can also get a mate on e2. So the next step is bishop d5. This is probably the hardest move to find in the entire exercise. The idea of bishop d5 is to wrap around backwards. Maybe bishop b3, bishop d1. So black has to play c2, bishop c4, and make another knight. Now both of these are occupied. Now here there's a free knight, but free knight takes the eye off the prize, right? So black would just win. So now we have to play bishop b5. So we use this little reroute to go this way, but now we threaten bishop e8. Now bishop e8 looks unstoppable, but there's knight c6. There is also knight c7, which is a slightly separate variation, but they make us take, and now they stop that. Now we have this, bishop back to d1. Nobody can stop us. There's no more knight promotions. Nobody can prevent the bishop from going to d1 and getting in the way. The knights can stop us, but it's just a matter of time, and white wins. This position is absolutely spectacular. You lure the enemy king out with the threat of the promotion with the check, and by the time that black stops everything, you still queen. You still queen, and you use the necessity of the fork to weave a checkmate net. A checkmate net with the bishop and the king and the pawn. The two pawns preventing their own king's escape and preventing the enemy king's escape. Perfectly positioned. And the rest of the game you spend outmaneuvering the constant promotion of horses. This is just a mind-blowing puzzle. Mind-blowing. And the bishop dances around the pawns. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who moves. Because with all these pieces, the 13 extra points of material, the king is dead. The king is stuck on the edge of the board, screaming for help. But nobody can come help. Now, this last one by Carl Fabel from 1946. This is the one where I give you a position and I say, I'm giving you a pawn. Okay? So your goal with white, you get to put a pawn on the board. Okay? You get to put the pawn on the board. You make a move. Okay? Put the pawn on the board. You make a move, and it's checkmate in 2. So that means you make a move, black responds, checkmate on the next move for white. Just to give you an understanding of what I'm talking about. Let's say you say, oh, that's easy, pawn here. All right, terrific. And now I queen on the next move, but you don't have a mate in 1. You don't have a mate. You could do it anywhere. You could queen anywhere you want, but you don't have a mate. I let you make a queen, but now you don't have checkmate. This is not mate because king f5. You have mate in a couple moves, but you need to put the pawn on the board and then have checkmate in 2 moves. You can try to pause. This one will blow your mind. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I'm going to give it to you. There's really not a whole lot to analyze here. A lot of these checkmate in 2 positions that were composed, the first move is very rarely a check. Like when you're solving checkmate in 2 on chess.com or Lichess or wherever you do your puzzles, it's check and then mate. Check, response, mate. Check, response, mate. But in these, the first move is a restricting move. As you can see in a lot of these positions, there's act 1 and 2 of brilliance. So put a pawn down, play a move that restricts the black position. You got to think about, okay, these 2 pawns cannot move, right? They cannot move. The black king cannot go here or here. So on your next move, you need to ensure black has a legal move with one of these pawns, but not with the king. You ready? You got to pause here. Take that. You got to put the pawn on the board. You're going to make a move. Black's going to have no moves except with this pawn. Move the rook? What? All right. I gave you everything I could. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I'm going to give you the answer. You're going to put the pawn right here. What? Why? What does this do? H4. This is so gross. Now the king has no legal moves, but black can play en passant. Bishop takes g6 is checkmate. Yeah, these people are crazy. These people are out of their damn minds. I mean, like, can you even imagine inventing this position? It just blows my mind. I mean, this position must have been invented under the influence. It just ain't no way the person that made this was sober. But this one, I mean, bringing in a pawn to put on the board to create it's just incredible stuff. If you enjoyed this video, do let me know. I will make a few more of these. I really enjoy these. They're really fascinating. One of my favorite books that I had, I lost it actually, was a book that had a lot of positions like this, like checkmate in 2, mind-blowing positions. So I'm happy to share them with all of you. And that's all. Let me know if you solved any. Let me know if you got close to solving any with my hints. I will see you in the next video. Get out of here.